We're going to get into some top free agent targets for the Minnesota Vikings momentarily. Before we do that, though, I want you guys to let me know who you want the Vikings to go out and sign. I got 5 names, but first and foremost, we're a show for you guys, so I want to hear what you have to say down there in the comments section. First up on my list, Olivier Vernon, who, look, Danielle Hunter out for the year, and that is brutal. That guy had been having one of the more under-the-radar top edge rusher seasons across the NFL. Now, Vernon, as a veteran, could be a really good replacement in terms of like ability to find somebody with the NFL trade deadline over. You can't trade players. You can bring in veterans like Vernon, maybe on the practice squad for a few weeks. Vernon was awesome last year. 9 sacks, 12 TFLs, and your first thought is, hold up. How is Vernon not signed? Surely somebody would have brought him in. Well, unfortunately, Vernon tore his Achilles late in the season last year. We're almost to the 11-month mark on that front, so timing's getting a bit dicey there. That's why he's unsigned. So the medical would have to check out for Vernon. But make no mistake, there is no available edge rusher who could come in and make a bigger impact on this Vikings team than Vernon could right now. And Everson Griffin is back in Minnesota. He's done a fine job this year. Got his revenge game stack against the Cowboys in a we're just not going to talk about that game anymore. DJ Wonnum is not, he's just not there yet. Patrick Jones is not playing. Kenny Willekes is a practice squad guy, got promoted. I think he sticks around for more than just this upcoming game. It's just not a good unit right now. And if you're Minnesota and you are trying to make a real playoff push, adding a veteran like Vernon, if he's healthy, does start to make quite a bit of sense for Minnesota. Now, you got to clear the medical. This doesn't happen if the medical does not check out. But if it does, I got a ton of interest in him. This would be a healthy Vernon, would be a coup at this point in November. So what do you guys think? Would you sign Vernon? You can type in N for no if you're worried about the medical. You just don't think he's that good. Or Y for yes if you assume medical's fine and you just want pass rush help. I will leave it up to you guys. Head down to the comment section and type your response for me. You get to play the GM, head coach, player personnel role. Y for yes or N for no. To the offensive line now. Mitchell Schwartz is a name I'll mention here. Look, I don't think you need to go out and add a starting tackle. You have 2 of those guys. But if Schwartz is healthier, maybe you could give him a chance as your backup swing because I don't like Rashad Hill all that much. I'm sorry, Rashad Hill, truthers or family members or friends or whatever. Schwartz, when healthy, top-tier right tackle. No doubts about that. The health is a question mark, though. Hasn't played this year, missed most of last year with a back injury, required offseason surgery. Much like Vernon, the medical is a huge issue here. He might not play again in the NFL. That's kind of where we're at right now. But again, there's no harm in bringing him in for a visit, seeing how the medical is. If it's good, it's a very talented player to be available in November. Now, last year for the Chiefs, as he battled that injury, he wasn't really 100%. And I think we've seen the best of Schwartz. I think we're only going to see the regression in the age and the injuries continue to pile up for him. But I still think if he's healthy, in fact, I don't think this, I know this, if he's healthy, he's better than Rashad Hill. You can get Blake Brandel on the practice squad. Let's be real here. I don't think it's a likely outcome in terms of adding Schwartz at this point, but this whole video is about how can you make your team better. And the O-line is okay. We can maybe have an in-depth conversation about Garrett Bradbury's long-term future, but there are no good free agent centers. I love Darrisaw long-term. I love Brian O'Neill. It's the swing tackle spot. So if you can find an upgrade, and I think Schwartz could maybe be that guy, I think you owe it to yourself if you're all in still, or at least trying to win games this season, and you are Minnesota. Now, Vikings fans, the sub numbers have dipped. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm very disappointed. Our Saints channel is about to catch us as well. It's kind of it has caught us. Excuse me. So if you want more Vikings videos, let's at least get to 1,500. We got a Bears channel. got a Lions channel that's crushing you guys. That's kind of embarrassing. So I'm challenging you to subscribe right now for more free Vikings videos. Let's go to Jaylon Smith, who I think we've mentioned before on this channel, back when the Cowboys first cut him. He did not last long in Green Bay, and I know many Cowboys fans tried to warn the Packers, oh, he's not good, and yeah, that was the case. Doesn't help on special teams, and Packers said, nah, we're done, and that was a very quick turnaround for someone who knew the head coach at Notre Dame. Big-time red flag there. Jaylon Smith is a big-time name. Like, he has been a Pro Bowler, had success, got a big-time contract, played for the Cowboys, blah, 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 and still got cut by not one but two contending teams. That is typically a bad sign in terms of how talented you are at this point. The tackle numbers were really high last year, 154. Really good evidence that tackles is a bad way to evaluate, especially a linebacker, with how good they are. But the reason why he could make some sense for Minnesota is that, look, I like Chaz Surratt and Troy Dye long term. I don't think Nick Vigil is it. I don't think he is a very talented linebacker. I think he is not a good one. And Lynch and Collin, again, special teams guys there, that's fine. Maybe you bring in Jaylon Smith to your practice squad. Maybe that's the route you go so you can get some insight into the Packers playbook. Throwing that idea out there as well here, because I don't really think that it's an ideal situation for Minnesota. I don't think that he's going to come in and be a starter. He's not that at any point at this point in his NFL career. But yeah, maybe practice squad inside in Green Bay, that could be a bit valuable for Minnesota. And he's not an elite player, but I still think there's a spot for Smith in the NFL. Back to the offensive line now, David DeCastro. A surprise release by the Steelers in the offseason. Common theme with a lot of these guys. Medical, and that is what's going on here with DeCastro. I don't know if he ever plays football again, but in early November, trade deadline's over. Why not kick the tires and see how he's doing? Now, for the Steelers, DeCastro had begun to decline. You can see that in the PFF run grade. The hurries allowed. He wasn't peak all-pro DeCastro anymore. But when you look on that offensive line for Minnesota, and you see, okay, well, what are we looking at here? Ali Udoh isn't a bad football player. Wouldn't we all feel more comfortable if he was guard number 3? Wouldn't that be like kind of an ideal situation? So in the event, and he might not be, that DeCastro is healthy, I think he could be a nice midseason upgrade, a rare midseason upgrade for a team like Minnesota. Now the theme of this list is veterans, and that only makes sense for Minnesota if they still think they can make the playoffs after what happened on Sunday night. So will the Vikings make the playoffs this year? I want you to be honest with me in the comments. If you want to be a hater or a realist maybe, I'm all for it, guys. So let me know what you're thinking. 1 for yes, the Vikings will make the postseason. 0 for no, they will not. One more player on defense, Kenny Vaccaro, who started last year for the Titans. It was a draft pick by the Saints fairly early. A safety who can play some nickel in a pinch, can kind of roll down towards that box, that almost overhang-ish defender role is needed, but really more of a safety. Again, veteran depth, not a bad thing. Tackles, not a great way to evaluate players, but Vaccaro did have 83, along with 5 TFLs and 5 pass breakups last year. That's not necessarily bad, and I think Minnesota is a little thin in that secondary. I don't love the nickel options behind Mackenzie Alexander, but there's just no one I really like. Maybe Desmond King gets cut at some point. That could change my tune a little bit. But behind Harrison Smith and Xavier Woods, Josh Metellus, Cameron Bynum, I know that they're young, but maybe you would prefer some veteran depth in the end. That was my top 5 list here for the Minnesota Vikings. So before we go, one more opportunity. Name a player who you guys want Minnesota to sign.